Hello everybody, welcome to YouTube channel Enrich Your Biology. Previously, we discussed about the digestive system and associated digestive glands secreting certain enzymes for the digestion of food. And today we will do the entire process of digestion, how these enzymes act upon the various components of food and which is in the absorbable form. So how digestion occurs? Digestion occurs in the alimentary canal. In the entire alimentary canal except pharynx and esophagus. In pharynx and esophagus there is no digestion, only they are the passage of food to the stomach. So first of all the food is ingested, that is called the ingestion, taken inside through the mouth into the buccal cavity. In the buccal cavity, teeth, tongue and salivary glands are present. Teeth help in mastication of the food, that is breaking the food into smaller fragments. And mucus lubricates the food. Salivary glands, they secrete the saliva which contains salivary amylase and some ion, potassium ion, potassium ion, sodium ion, chloride ion and bicarbonate ions. And in addition to this, lysozymes and you can say mucus. So this salivary amylase acts upon the polysaccharides, it acts upon the starch, it acts upon the carbohydrates, and some of the carbohydrates they are converted into the maltose. And this salivary amylase, it functions in the alkaline medium provided by the bicarbonate ions. Lysozymes kills the harmful bacteria which may infect the food. Ultimately they infect our body. Then these saliva lubricates the food by the movement of the tongue. In the buccal cavity, tongue is also present. This fragmented food mixed with saliva and these carbonate ions, it is food, with the saliva they are adhered to a ball-like structure. They are gathered in the ball-like structure which is called as the bolus. This bolus is passed into the stomach through pharynx and esophagus. Pharynx is the common passage of food and air. However, on the windpipe there is present an opening glottis which is covered by epiglottis, a flap-like structure which cover it when food passes from pharynx to the esophagus so that food may not enter into the windpipe. So from the buccal cavity food passes to pharynx. From the pharynx, food passes into esophagus. No digestion occurs. By the peristaltic movements of the esophagus wall, that is muscular wall contracts and relaxes and food is passed into the stomach. The food is passed into the stomach. In the stomach, food is retained for 3 to 4 hours. And in the stomach, our mucous wall of the stomachs are present. Gastric glands. These gastric glands contain 3 types of cells: mucus secreting cells, that is mucous neck cells, axanthic cells which secrete HCl and intrinsic factor, and peptic kerchief cell which secrete inactive enzyme, that is pepsinogen. In the stomach, the food is mixed with the gastric juice containing all these components, HCl, pepsinogen and mucus. And by the movements of the muscular wall of the stomach, by the churning movement, the gastric juice is totally mixed with the food, and that is called as the chyme. That food is called as the chyme. So how digestion occurs in the stomach? In the stomach, I told you that pepsinogen enzyme is present, which is inactive form. It is activated by the HCl and is converted into pepsin. Pepsin acts upon the proteins. Proteins are converted into proteases and peptones. So a little quantity of lipase is also present, and then the food is mixed with this gastric juice, and partially digested proteins is passed into the small intestine, upper part of the small intestine, C-shaped part of the small intestine, which is called as the duodenum. So digestion occurs actually in the duodenum, absorption occurs in jejunum and the ileum. In the small intestine, two types of juices are released: pancreatic juice from the pancreas and bile juice from the liver. So pancreatic juice and the bile juice, they are released into the small intestine by hepatopancreatic duct. This pancreatic juice, it contains pancreatic amylase, trypsinogen, chymotrypsinogen, lipase. All these present in the pancreatic juice along with bicarbonate ions. These bicarbonate ions, they provide the alkaline medium to the for the functioning of the all pancreatic enzymes, because these enzymes, they function in the alkaline medium, but the food coming from the stomach, it is acidic. It is mixed with HCl. So they neutralize it and provide the alkaline medium. They also protect the wall of the small intestine, inner wall of small intestine from the HCl, from corrosion. This pancreatic juice, pancreatic amylase, it acts upon the polysaccharides and convert it into disaccharides. These disaccharides may be maltose, it might be sucrose, it might be lactose, all these. Then trypsinogen and chymotrypsinogen, they are protein digesting enzyme. They are inactive. They are activated another enzyme, enterokinase, which is secreted by the intestinal mucosa. And enterokinase convert that trypsinogen into trypsin. Trypsin further activates the another enzyme. The trypsin and chymotrypsin, they act upon the protein part of the food, partially digested as well as undigested, that is proteoses, peptones and proteins, and convert them into dipeptides. Then lipase, pancreatic lipase acts upon the fats and convert it into diglyceride, monoglyceride. What's the function of bile juice then? Bile juice, it hasn't any enzyme. It has only pigments. Pigments are bilirubin, biliverdin, cholesterol and phospholipids. These bile juice, it emulsifies the fats. It breaks down the fats into smaller particles to form the fat globules, and so it has no enzyme. However, it facilitates digestion of enzyme by converting them into small fragments, small globules. So the end product of the digestion, they occurs by the succus centricus. What is succus centricus? It is the intestinal juice containing mucus secreted by the goblet cells of the intestine and small intestine, and some enzymes secreted by the intestinal glands, that is brush border like cells. They secrete these enzymes. What are those enzymes? Those enzymes, all they act upon proteins, they act upon digested carbohydrates, they act upon fats and convert them into their end products, which can be absorbed by the intestinal wall of the small intestine. So what are those? First of all, you can say disaccharides, which are formed by the pancreatic juice as well as in the buccal cavity. They are acted upon by disaccharidases. What are those? Just like maltose is acted upon by the maltase converted into glucose plus glucose. Lactose, it is acted upon by the lactase converted into glucose plus galactose. Sucrose, it is acted upon by the sucrase converted into glucose and fructose. So all these glucose, fructose, galactose, these are monosaccharides and they can be absorbed as such. Then what about proteins? Dipeptides formed by the action of pancreatic juice. They are acted upon by the dipeptidase, and all dipeptides, they are converted into amino acids, which are the end product of protein digestion, and they can be absorbed by the intestinal membrane. Then what about fats? The lipase of the succus centricus, it acts upon the monoglyceride, diglyceride and convert it into fatty acid or glycerol, which are absorbed by the lymph vessels. So this is all about the complete digestion. So end product of polysaccharides, or you can say starch, or you can say carbohydrates, they are monosaccharides. End products of proteins are amino acids. End product of fats are fatty acid and glycerol. And one more thing, nucleases are also present. Nucleases enzyme is present in succus centricus. It acts upon the nucleotides and nucleic acid, convert them into nucleotides and then nucleosides. So all these final product, they are absorbed. Amino acids, monosaccharide, fatty acid, glycerols, nucleotides, nucleosides, they are absorbed by the wall of small intestine in the duodenum and the ileum part by the microvilli. What are villi? These are finger-like projection of the innermost lining of the intestine, small intestine, and bearing the brush-like extension which is called the microvilli to increase the surface area. So how they are absorbed? The absorption, most of the absorption is active absorption. Some of the absorption is passive. What is passive absorption? Some glucose molecules, some amino acids, they can pass directly into the blood capillaries in the microvilli, the capillaries of the microvilli, following the law of concentration gradient. That along with concentration gradient, simply they are diffused. But in active transport, most of the products of the digestion, they are passed by the active transport inside the blood. That is, some carrier proteins are present, and it involves the energy, and these carrier proteins, they transport these digested products into the blood against the concentration gradient. So amino acids, monosaccharides, they are absorbed in the blood capillaries of the small intestine, and these fatty acid and glycerol, they are absorbed by the lacteals, lymph vessels, then they transfer to the lymph vessel. From the lymph vessels, these fatty acid and glycerol, they pass into the bloodstream. So all the digestive products, they have been carried by the blood. This is all about absorption. Then these and this is all about absorption. Water is also absorbed in the small intestine. Then remnant food, residual food and undigested food, leftover food, it is mixed with the mucus in the large intestine. There is no significant digestion in the large intestine. Here water is absorbed from the residual food. Minerals are also absorbed. Some drugs are also absorbed. And the food from the cecum through the colon is passed to the rectum, where it is stored for some time and is moved out at the time of defecation, which is called as the egestion. So then this in the large intestine no digestion occur. Absorption have occur in the small intestine. Then what's the fate of these absorbed food and products of the food? The absorbed food, that amino acid, you can say monosaccharides, fatty acid, they are taken to the tissues for further synthesis of the macromolecules, that is amino acids. They are used for the protein synthesis, and these monosaccharides, they are converted into the glycogen, etc., and used for the energy. Then fatty acid and glycerol, they are also used for the synthesis of fats which are needed in the body. This process, synthesis of biomolecules, synthesis of macromolecules, for the synthesis of protein, for the building of the body, for the energy of the body, is called as assimilation. So ultimately, digestion consists of steps: ingestion, digestion, absorption, and assimilation. So food is assimilated, and proteins are the body builders, and carbohydrates, they are the energy givers. Similarly, the food is used wherever it is required. This is all about digestion in human being, and I think you might have followed it. Listen it, share it with your friends, like it, and subscribe it. Have a good day. Bye.